Hi, welcome. It's time for the town hall today, and I am Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki. For short, it's Susan Buchser. For those writing me in, that's probably the easiest thing to do, just Susan Buchser. If you want to add Lochocki, you can, but Susan Buchser. So welcome. It's time for town hall and update on my campaign and things of that nature. Good morning and welcome. I'm going to turn on some lights, and I need to let you know that I'm using a different phone today. Not my usual one because I'm out of batteries on the other one. So let me get some lights on so you can see me. Okay. And yeah, it's a bit cold where I am, so I've got to bundle up a little bit. Anyways, welcome. I am a presidential candidate, in case I didn't say that. So first off, I'm doing some research right now, and yeah, I want to tell you about it. But right now I'm talking to you from North Dakota, and it's a great state. I'm gonna go up to the border in Canada with Canada later and see how that's doing. But you know, we apparently have a peace garden up there, which I'm also going to visit. It's time to really start focusing on peace. Sadly, I think I'm realizing a few things. So, first off, I'm not sure if our elections are valid for many reasons, besides all the fraud and everything else and manipulation. But you're supposed to have a quorum. And a quorum would mean a certain amount of people in a election have to vote for the election to be valid. And supposedly in 2020, we had 258 million adults who were eligible to vote. So 77.9, so almost 78% of the population in 2020 was over 18 and U.S. citizens. So they should have been able to vote, or they had the right to vote. So what we have to do, and let me do this quickly so I can find out. So what it is a quorum of voting bodies needs to vote for something to be valid. So if we divide 258, divide that number 258 million by 2, we get 129 million people. So 129 million people had to vote plus 1, because that's half. So it's always half plus 1. So it had to be 129 million and 1 voter for the election in 2020 to be valid. And supposedly in 2020 we had record numbers of voting. So let's see what the record number. Okay. How many votes were cast for president in 2020? So the election took place against a backdrop of a global COVID-19 pandemic and related recession. The election saw the highest voter turnout by percentage since 1900, with each of the two main tickets receiving more, with each of the two main tickets receiving more than 74 million votes. So I'm not sure what that means. Let's see. Federal elections, voter turnout. Summary. Here, this is from the FEC. Because if they both got that amount, but I don't think that's true, then they have enough. But let's see. How many do they have it? Presidential popular vote summary. Let's see. Come on. No. 206 pages, huh? All right, let me get back to the top. Yeah, I was working on getting the information as the time got here, so. Okay, this is not going to give me the answer I want. So for Barack Obama, the record was 69 million votes in 2008. Then, let's see. So it's interesting. Are we going by popular vote? Okay. So no, it's all right. They did get a quorum, at least. So that is so apparently Joe Biden got 81 million votes, and Trump got 74 million votes. There is, what is this? Okay, I'll have to look at that. So that was the popular vote. So apparently, according to the popular vote, then if you tally those two things together, that comes out to be more than 129, right? So, yeah, that's more. Okay, so then I'm wrong there. There was a quorum last election. Okay, so anyways, I mean, actually, you know what? As we now know, 1 million of those votes were fraudulent in Texas, right? Because 1 million of those votes were cast by foreigners. So that's actually incorrect. And then there are various amounts in other states too. 100,000 here. In West Virginia, there were 380,000 fake names. So actually the number is lower because of the fraudulent names in the system. So I don't know. FBI, if you're watching, you may want to look into that. Maybe that's why we have all these fraudulent names on there, so that we have a quorum, supposedly, but the quorum is fake. And by the time we discover the fakeness of it, the people have been in power for 4 years and have brought us to the brink of World War III. So I don't know. This is really disheartening, to say the least. So anyway, let me get back to what I was really talking about. So I do think this might be an issue, these illegal names. I mean, we haven't even heard from California or New York State or Florida about the fake illegal votes on their rolls. But, and these are just people on the rolls, right? You know, people might have taken their name off. They might have put it on briefly, voted, and then taken their name off too. So, anyway, folks, we got to work with the Social Security numbers. It's all there is to it. Because you can't take names off and put them on. They're on until they die, and then they go off, you know. So we don't need this extra list. It's phony and fraudulent. Okay, so anyway, the other thing that I wanted to mention is a quorum, in case you don't know. And usually for business meetings, you need a quorum to have a meeting be official and stuff like that. It's the minimum number of people of society, or the body, or the members. So we are the members of the United States, the citizens, right? We're not talking about foreigners. We're not talking about green card holders, or are we? No. We're talking about citizens. Full citizens are the members of our country. And half of the citizens have to be present, or eligible citizens, so the ones who are 18 and older have to be present at the election process, +1, to have it valid. So, I don't know. It was good turnout in 2020, but what about other years? So, anyway, this is a little bit the problem. You know, we got to change the power of the office, because we got cheaters out there. We got so many people cheating. It's not healthy. It's an embarrassment to all the people who died creating our country, and it's an embarrassment to the people who are living here now. Integrity matters, folks. I'm tired of the lies. So, I'm here to report that your freedom and liberty as a U.S. citizen are being restricted. This is why so many of our citizens are angry. And I want to point out that, you know, there's this old phrase, it takes one to know one. And we seem to be able to point our fingers and talk about all sorts of countries who are doing illegal things, and point our fingers at all sorts of countries who have dictators and, you know, bad things, people running the country, authoritative people and stuff like that. So I want to say it takes one to know one. And this is what we've got. We got the Democrats and Republicans who are working together to restrict our rights, and it's not acceptable, period. So recently I wanted to run as a candidate in South Dakota, which is a wonderful state, and it has a monument called Mount Rushmore with the 4 presidents representing our people and representing our country and the different stages our country has gone through. And it's in my opinion terrible that South Dakota feels it's okay to restrict their citizens from voting for a presidential candidate that they would like to vote for. So this is one of their sample ballots, and they don't have a place for anyone who is not on the ballot. So you can only be on the ballot in South Dakota for people to vote for you, but they have all this empty space that they could have used, that they could have placed write-in candidates. So it's either they're lazy and not wanting to do their job, or they're censoring you, the South Dakotan voters. And this is a problem. We are Are we about censorship? Isn't that like communism? Isn't that authoritative dictatorship stuff? But yet South Dakota, the election division there, feels that it's okay to do this. So I don't know what is going on in this country, but our freedoms are slowly, and liberties are slowly being taken away inch by each and every state. And this is not acceptable. So apparently, if I wanted people to vote for me in South Dakota, I had to be on the ballot. But I don't want to be on the ballot. I just wanted to be a write-in. So I did try to do their paperwork as best I could. I mean, I tried to just announce myself as a write-in, but they didn't accept that. So then, I did try to fill out their paperwork, but I'm not going to give them a list of registered names, and I'm not going to pay an exorbitant amount of money to be on their list. But just to let you know, too, I mean, their list is, it's like advertising. It's, they're advertising to you, the voter, who they recommend. It's actually their recommendation. So, I don't really have anything against Donald Trump, but I do have to admit he has something like, over 30 felony charges waiting to be decided, the extent of his felonies. So, not only is he on the ballot, he's like the head of the Republican Party, and people are okay with this. I mean, part of the Republican thing that they're saying about the illegal people coming in is that once you're a criminal, always a criminal, or you're not restricted from doing criminal activity. So if that's the case, Donald Trump is a criminal right now. He's a felon. So what's going to stop him from doing other felonies once he's in office? So, folks, we got some big problems. So anyway, the ballot is actually an advertisement for the state declaring who they think are good candidates. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're good candidates. It's just the candidates that paid their way into the ballot. And so does that make a good candidate? No. So South Dakota, I'm sorry, but, I met so many nice people who would probably like to vote for other people who have integrity, who are not felons, who are not criminals, and who might not continue their criminality. So, I'm sorry. This is not really acceptable that you are restricting your citizens in this way. And you know why they're doing it? Because they don't hand count. They only put it through a machine. So, therefore, I mean, maybe they hand count, but if you're putting it through a machine, then you want it as simple to understand as a machine can do that. So if somebody writes something on it, or puts a mark someplace, it might screw up the counting, right? This is just not acceptable. So, yeah. So, like I said, I don't know Donald Trump, but it seems that he's guilty. I mean, he's been charged. It could be he's innocent, but I don't know. So, I think, some of these states need to really rethink their yeah. It's not acceptable. So if for immigrants, once a criminal, always a criminal, or once a criminal, you have no limits on criminality, then I guess that works for possibly our future president and possibly our past president. I mean, I know he wants to be president again, but just because he was once, does that make it valid that he should become president again? I don't know. I mean, I don't know him, so I really can't say if he's a good guy or a bad guy. And I think a lot of us don't know him. On the other hand, I don't know if Kamala Harris is really a good choice, but they're advertising her. And in South Dakota, the other ones is also somebody who's not even running for president anymore. So Kennedy. So you can vote for Kennedy, who's not wanting to be president, but you can't vote for me, apparently, according to their little piece of paper here, their ballot. So this is not acceptable to censor our people this way. And, you know, we got big problems. We're on the brink of World War III. And we got two big parties that are funding it. So if World War III is what you want, then vote for a Democrat or a Republican, because they're definitely going to bring it. But if you want peace, you need to vote for me. So I will be suing the South Dakota election division, because that is not acceptable. They cannot do that. So anyway, that is, and I will be doing it, I guess, as my own person, not as a candidate. But it's just crazy that, I mean, what is the world going to think if Donald Trump gets voted in? Not that, you know, I have anything against him. He's, you know, like I said, I don't know him. But the point is, he's a felon. And, you know, I don't have anything really against felons. I've met some that are very nice. But is this really what our people who created our country wanted for our country? I don't know. And what's the world gonna think? Will they respect us? So, you know, yeah. Because of computers is not a good reason why we can't write in candidates. But I have a feeling that's why a lot of these states aren't doing it, because they're too lazy to count the names. So then they feel it's okay to censor who you can vote for. And that's not acceptable. There are over 100 presidential candidates this year. There's one for each one of you. I mean, for me, truthfully, I think we need to change the way we run our country a little bit. I think this idol worship we do of a president needs to stop, because we see how crazy it gets. I think, you know, having like a board of directors of the country, and then each year somebody is the figurehead for the country. Somebody goes around and represents our country, so that the position is not so powerful as an individual. But for right now, it is the way it is. But the one thing, you know, when I do, if I get into office, if I get the presidency, I'm going to send out a vote to you, the people, on maybe like 3 or 4 different ways that we could change our government to work better for you, for the people. And yeah, I want you involved in your government, and we can do it. So I have some ideas. As soon as I get in, it's one of the things that I want to do is present you with this choice, and then we can start changing our government a little bit, because this current system is not working. I mean, yes, it's great that it's lasted so long and stuff, but we are outgrowing it, and we have a lot of fraud and manipulation going on. So it's time. So we know that then ballots are being censored. You know, if you don't follow their rules, you can't get on the ballot. So I don't want to be on the ballot, but then they still, even not even being on the ballot, they're giving me all these rules and regulations I gotta follow just to be considered a write-in candidate, which is also BS. So they're censoring so many things when they don't have the right, because you, the people, have the right to choice. That's the point, right? I mean, if we were in, Russia, supposedly they have communism, and supposedly they have no choice. So, the joke was always, there's just one candidate, one everything, and that's also China too. It's not just Russia. And so, we're supposed to be in a democracy, a republic democracy, and we, the over 18 years old, are the republic part. And we should have a right to vote for any choice that's out there. And with over 100, I don't think getting everybody on the ballot's possible, really. But maybe that's the solution, because right now we've got censorship. And like I said, I don't want to be on the ballot. I don't need the state advertising for me. I'm advertising to you, the public, the people, myself. And you should have that right to vote for me. Period. So then we have that censorship now. We have censorship too because they're going to put it through a computer, so they don't want handwriting on it. Then fraudulent names, as we've heard, Texas, Arizona, Ohio, West Virginia, and 24 other states have fraudulent names on their system for one reason or another. So they're blaming the DMV right now, or their Congress, or their legislature. So, folks, we got so many hidden, stupid rules in the states that are just not working anymore. And it's creating fraudulent names. We got people who are so busy trying to manipulate the vote, and that they don't have time to keep track of who's a citizen in their own state, in their own county. So this is a huge problem. Apparently we can know what color people are, but we can't know if they're citizens or not. So anyways, we got big problems there. Then, I don't know if you know this, but people from the U.S. territories, they don't, in their own territory, get to vote for president. So you know what they do? They move into the continental U.S. somewhere, whether it's, California, or New York, or Florida, or Minnesota, or whatever. But they move into certain areas. They haven't been there for more than maybe a month or maybe 3 months. And they get that driver's license, and then they can vote. Right? And they do. So they're coming in from Puerto Rico, from Guam, from American Samoa, and many other territories. And they're I don't know if maybe even the it could be that the parties are then placing people in specific places so that they sway the vote in one direction or another. So this is another way. This is called manipulation. That's manipulation of the election. So yeah, Supreme Court, are you listening? Then, or FBI, are you listening? I mean, apparently it's legal, sadly, but it's manipulation. So, anyway, folks, we got big problems. And, you know, bigger countries seem to manage to do it, but we got so many people who do not have integrity that this is where we are. So I guess it's time for me to read. Well, you know, I do want to state too that Washington, our first president, he warned against the possibility of parties taking over the country. And this is what we've seen. We need to stop the duopoly. The Democrats and Republicans have taken over, and they are manipulating us this way and that to fulfill their agenda. I mean, it's even the Christian nationals within the two parties who are doing this. They've turned us into a Christian nation, which we were never intended to be. We are not missionaries for Jesus. And we, it's wrong. It's wrong. It says clearly in our Constitution, don't do that. We're not a religious country. We understand that there are different religions, and in fact, in our Declaration of Independence, that part about the Creator, your Creator, it was written that way because at the time we had people who had different Creator ideas. There was the Christian God Creator, and the Jewish God Creator, and the Muslim God Creator, and at that time they didn't realize they were the same thing. And then there were other people too, you know, there were Buddhists, and there were just multiple people here from you know, we had Hindus here too. So it's just you know, our forefathers understood seemingly more than we do, and this is scary. So what is it? Let me read that part. This is from the Declaration of Independence. This is not, and this is what exactly what Washington warned us about. Be careful of the parties, and he was not in a party. So we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator. Their Creator. So they didn't want to pick a certain Creator. They didn't want to pick a religion already at that time. They wanted to accept all people as being equal by their Creator. So now to our Constitution, which is the law of the land. That other one was what freed us from England. So this is the law of the land. And it starts off like this. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice. That's the first thing. So we are talking about justice. We are talking about following the law. And sadly, the Democrats and Republicans think that they're above the law. But they're corporations, actually. They're not. They're associations and corporations. They're a club. They're not the people. So this is where the problem starts. And together, we are supposed to be, the people are supposed to be working on domestic tranquility. Well, I think we have... we're not so tranquil domestically at the moment. And we're supposed to provide for the common defense and promote general welfare. So we need to work on that too. We got lots of roads that are still not good, but I have an idea for that. And we are supposed to secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our offspring and our family. So I am trying to secure the blessings of liberty for all of us, because we don't have liberty right now. We have a dictatorship. It's called the duopoly. It's called the Democrats and the Republicans, and they have been running our country into the ground for the past 100 years, 150 years. I mean, it's gotten really bad lately, and we no longer have our freedoms and our liberties, and this has to stop. So we the people do ordain and establish the Constitution of the United States of America. So, instead of the Pledge of Allegiance, maybe we should be saying this to the flag, or this at least once a year. Constitution Day. That's when we should probably say it. And say it loudly. We just had Constitution Day last week. So, I don't know if you said it, but you should say it and promise it. So, the Electoral College. Apparently, what I'm now supposed to understand is that the electors are just voters, but they use a different word for it. So the voters. There are voters. So electors are voters, voters are voters. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people. So the House of Representatives is voted by the people of the several states, and the voters of each state shall have qualification requisite for voters of the most numerous branch of state legislature. So then you go in here to find out that back then I think they wanted people to be 25 years of age to vote, but the 26th Amendment changed that to be 18 years. So let me read the 26th Amendment. The right of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. So everyone 18 years of age or older who is a U.S. citizen has the right to vote. And that's what that quorum thing was about earlier that I was talking about. That they had to have a majority of votes. But now we know that in that majority of votes that happened back in 2020 for president, that at least 2 million, if not more, so far discovered were fraudulent. They were foreign votes, foreign influence. And how many more? So I don't know if we have a quorum eventually. Eventually it could turn out that we don't. Then I think it's probably best if I read you then this part. All persons, it's the 14th Amendment, Section 1, all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So, I am deprived of my liberty in South Dakota, because they won't let me run for president or let you, the public, vote for me for president, even though I'm considered president in all the other states. Well, not all, but in a lot of the majority, the quorum of the states. agree that I am a presidential candidate. And the FEC sees that I'm a presidential candidate. So, what process of the law makes me illegitimate to be a write-in candidate? What law did I break? And it says, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges of citizens of the United States. So I'm a citizen of the United States. I have a passport. But which law, are they cannot enforce any law to restrict me. So that means that they cannot enforce any law to restrict you from voting for me. But they are in South Dakota. And they are in at least 10 other states. And in fact, in some states, they claim that I'm not a presidential candidate, but I claim that I am. And they need to be transparent, and they need to count each vote, and they need to let the public know what's going on. So you, the public, need to hold your states accountable for this fraud that they're doing. It's not acceptable. Don't take it. So first off, what I recommend is that you become unregistered. Because if they don't have your name on their list, they cannot mess with it. For me, they messed with mine. They had other people voting for me, and they had some sort of misspelling. I mean, I just wonder how many misspelled names of mine are on, in New York State, New York City. So anyway, the system is not working. Registering to vote is a fraudulent practice. It does not serve a purpose. Maybe it did one time. At one time, maybe it was needed. But we have a list called the Social Security number list. That each one of us only has one number, and we only have one main residence. And that's the one place where you get to vote. You don't get to vote every place you have a house, and you don't get to vote every place you have a driver's license. That's not how it works. So, anyways, and then we need to think about this. Donald Trump is a felon. If you vote for him and he gets prosecuted and has to go to prison, then J.D. Vance is president. Something to think about. Then who's going to be his vice president? Then the other thing is that, if we vote him in and he doesn't, or somehow finagles the thing that he doesn't have to serve his time until after the election, until after his term in office, then what kind of message is that sending to the world? That we're criminals and that we accept criminals being in charge of our entire country and having their finger on the nuclear armament, nuclear weapons? I don't know. Think about it. Sadly, I don't think Kamala Harris is also a good choice. I don't know either of them. But there's something about her that tells me she's not telling the truth. And plus, the Democrats, they're trying to institutionalize childhood, which I think is wrong. No child is going to get more love from their own parents, period. What we need to do is help parents, and that's what I'm about. I want to help parents, give them the tools they need to raise happy and healthy children, not only for themselves, but for us, for our country. And, they want to keep everybody working, have other people love your children, and make sure that you don't have any time with them. And this is not acceptable. your children are only young for a little while, and they grow up fast, and it's amazing to watch them, and nobody's going to give them the love they need to grow and blossom in a good way, a positive way, than their own parents. So, I want to bring back family. Family is so important. Love of a mother, love of a father is so important. So, first off, in all the other states, but the 10, I guess I could, I don't know where I have it right now. Anyway, I'm going to try to work on making it possible in every state. So, my recommendation right now, and since the states are recommending felons and other people, and they're not taking people off the list who are no longer running for president, the system's so broken. But I'm going to recommend that you become unregistered. Then, on November 5th, you can wait until the very last day. You walk in the door, you say, I want to vote. You show your IDs, you get a ballot, and you vote. But hopefully before then, we'll have a whole changed system where we can really have transparency, have accuracy, a possibility of voting for whoever you want to vote for. So I recommend you research who's running for president and who has the ideas that you want for our nation, and that you like, and the person who will bring the best for you. Vote your heart. If you think it's Kamala Harris, then do that. But if you think it's me, then do that. Or if you think it's someone else, then do that too. But I don't know. I think we got a problem. I'm working on it. The Supreme Court still has my lawsuit. I call on them to make a ruling on it, and let's move forward as a country, because this is just getting more and more insane. All right. So become unregistered. Then on November 5th, if you or up until that time, when you go in to vote, you need to find out where you're supposed to go, where your legal area is to go. And then you go there and you show your ID, you sign their book, you get your ballot, you fill it out as best you can, and vote your conscience. Vote for who you want to see as in the different roles that are available, whether it's president, vice president, whether it's mayor, whether it's attorney general or secretary of state or governor. Just vote for who you think is going to do the right thing for you. I don't recommend voting party anymore. The parties, we got 2 that have taken over our country, and we need to change that as well. So I recommend voting write-in candidates that you like. And then by doing that, they're going to make you, in that moment, they're going to make you register. And you vote, you'll be registered, and then right after, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the election, write that letter, get off the registering to vote list again, so that they don't have your name and they can't mess with it. And definitely take it off your driver's license. Make sure that there's no information. The next time you get a driver's license, say, no, I don't want you to know. You want your Fourth Amendment rights, which is the right to privacy. So, yeah, it's crazy what's going on. All right, so this is my transparency for today. I'm also, not only am I about families and bringing moms home, paying mothers for their important work, and I want to pay dads to have 1 day off a week to be a dad, and that should help a lot of families so that they don't have to work 2 and 3 jobs. And therefore, there can be less stress in the home. That means more love for the children and for the parents too. And women, I mean, mothers, there's plenty of time later to do that career, you know. You have time during motherhood to do your studies, and then after, you know, you will be all set. Once your child starts getting to be 15, 16, 17, then you're ready to go off and become that doctor if you want, become that lawyer if you want, become whatever, or run for office. I highly recommend you run for office, because we need good, solid people with good experience to keep our country on the straight and narrow, because we got a lot of bad people trying to manipulate our country to do bad things, and that needs to stop. So, what else can I say? Yeah, and peace, you know, so I'm going to go to this peace monument soon and see what kind of peace I can conjure up. It's time for peace. So normally in these things too, I do call for a ceasefire, not only in all the wars and conflicts around the world, but also at home, here, between our people. It's time to sit down and talk about it. There's room at the table for everybody. There's room in our world for everybody. We can find solutions, but we got to get the duopoly out, because they're not about solutions. The duopoly is about gridlock. So if you vote for either one of those, you're voting for gridlock. If you vote for me, you're voting for freedom. You're voting for power for yourself and for your neighbors and for everyone who is in the United States. So, yeah. Ceasefire. Let's sit down to the negotiating table. All right. That's my news for now. Thanks for stopping by. If you want to find out more about how I'm working for you and other things about me, my website is susan4usa.com. That's Susan, the number 4, USA.com. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day, wherever you are. Bye for now.